the 9th.
Yeah.
9 de Mayo. Record on this computer. And participants, if anybody comes in, we'll introduce them as we go through the show. All right, Larry, ready for a 5 count?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Free Thought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP-FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is Sunday, May 9th, and I'm Larry Rhodes, or Doubter5. And as usual, we have our co-host, Wombat, on the line with us. Hello, Wombat.
Awooga!
Is that an old car? Awooga. And our guests today are George, Brooklyn, and Dread Pirate Higg. Welcome all.
Arr.
Digital Free Thought Radio Hour is a talk radio show about atheism, free thought, rational thought, humanism, and the sciences. And conversely, we'll also talk about religion, religious faiths, gods, holy books, and superstition. Wombat, what are we talking about today?
Today we're holding the question, are atheists accountable? Because we've heard often, we've heard a lot of times that they aren't. But listen, last week's episode, we had like almost 9 people coming onto the show, which means it's like we don't really get a chance to really voice out stuff because it's a lot of people talking. But now we got like a nice solid 4-pack. I love this. This is great. So I want to start today's show off with an invocation and then getting to know everybody. So before we get into it, I'll throw it up to our own Dread Pirate Higgs for our weekly invocation.
Arr. Monster, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the noodle to know the difference. Ramen.
You gotta have a good noodle. That's
you
what
have to have a noodle
at the end of the day.
Yep.
I want to go around see how everybody's doing. First and most birthday boy over here with the new haircut. Before we get into it, Larry, you're looking good. How are you doing? How you been?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I've been getting out a little bit this week since it's my birthday week. Got a haircut. Went shopping. Did a lot of things. Actually, I spent a lot of time this week on the deck, watering stuff and cleaning it up for the summer, spring, summer, and fall, actually. And just having a good time doing it all.
Now, Larry, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think that's the real question.
Child again. And I think I will succeed. When I get into my 80s, I'm planning on being a child again.
Okay, nice. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. Dread Pirate Higgs, how you been? How is your quest for chaos? Just basically, the headband challenge, all the other projects you got going on. I can't even speak to it. Fireman, security guard, movie star. What's going on with you?
Well, actually, I just took my drone flying license, or
your what? Your groom flying license?
Yeah, ground school for flying drones up here in Canada.
Groom flying. I thought you said groom flying license, which is totally within the purview of what Dread Pirate will do. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I took my ground school for that, and I'm going to Transport Canada to write my test, and then I can fly these super cool drones, and that'll help me in my security business and potentially with film and all that good stuff. So
absolutely. So walk me through this drone flying. I thought you could just buy one and fly one. Are you telling me?
No, it's all since 2019. It's all been licensed through Transport Canada. You can actually, if you're caught flying a drone without a license, you can get a $1,000 fine.
No way! Now I have to look at the licenses in Tennessee because it's only coming for us one day.
One day it will. Yeah.
One day it's like we can make money out of this.
It's a source of revenue.
Buffalo, what do you got? Government. What's
question.
going on here?
Can you fly any size drone?
Okay, that's a good question. So between 250 grams and 25 kilograms.
That's literally every drone.
Pretty much.
250 grams, it's so little.
There are drones out there they're designed on purpose to be 249 grams. So it's just under the wire, but they figure that is small enough not to be a serious risk to aircraft.
So what are the linear directions of a 300 drone?
How far can you go out? What's the range?
A range?
The area.
The one I'm looking at purchasing, which is about $5,000, has a 31 battery life of 31 minutes, and can go up to 10 kilometers radius.
Wow.
I guess what I was asking is the linear directions, the dimensions of the drone. How big?
Oh,
4x4?
a drone is about that big.
Including the propellers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen ones that are 4 feet by 4 feet.
Yeah.
So that you cannot fly.
Sure.
Like I say, it has to be under 25 kilograms. So I can fly anything of any size up to and including 25 kilograms. And that's including payload.
Sure. If I can stand on the drone while it's flying, give me a license. Like, I have to get a license for that. Otherwise, free air, baby. You own the ground. Let us have the heavens. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna throw it up to Buffalo. Buffalo, we're talking today, just seeing how everyone's doing. How you been since last week? What's going on with you?
I've been fine, thank you. Fine.
Nice. Happy Mother's Day. I know you have your daughter's christened, so like happy birthday to her, happy Mother's Day to her through you. It's good to have you on the show. What's something you're looking forward to next week? What's something you're looking forward to? You got a vibe like you're looking forward to something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting Blast Things ready for a family get-together in a cottage by the lake.
Oh,
there will be about a dozen of us, and my daughter's coming from Utah with her son. So we should have a nice time, I hope.
Nice.
Some boating, some fishing, some swimming, if the weather's good enough.
Nice.
And final plans to put that together.
And it is nice to be, I'm not saying post-COVID, because obviously a lot of people are stressing out, but it's nice to be on the acceleration curve of it and starting hearing stories of people being out with each other and not immediately thinking, wait, are you crazy? So it's great to have that.
Very nice. And everybody will be vaccinated up to the younger than 16.
Nice. Very, very cool. By the way, if you're listening to this now, at least in Tennessee, and Larry, you feel free to support me on this, but governor said as of May, anyone 16 or up can get vaccinated. There's no more age barrier. Just show up, get the shots. See you later. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard myself, but I certainly believe it.
Yeah. Well, in Canada, of course, I did finally get my appointment, so I'm going on the 11th on Tuesday. Nice. But I'm 57, and so we've got a long way to go before we get down to 16 and above.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where I'm beginning to see very, very, very short lines in the COVID vaccination booth in my town, and it's a small town, so it's making me at least hopeful that, at least it's only the anti-vaxxers who are at risk, which is what we will get to the accountability point. You'll understand why I'm saying that later on. But Brooklyn George, Buffalo, what's up?
Can I just say that I think I've said frequently, I've been volunteering at our vaccination center, one of our mega vaccination centers, that was processing about 4,000 shots a day up until last week, and now it's down to 700.
Yeah.
So ours is really taking a downturn.
Same here.
We see more young people, parents with their children coming in, young adults, not 16-year-olds yet, but it's definitely moving in that direction. So they're going to close down our mega center, and I'll be put out of a job. But that's good.
It's a good thing, yeah. And they may just do walk-ins from here on out. Buffalo. I'm sorry, Brooklyn George Brown. Can you hear me?
Yes,
How have you been?
Can you hear me?
Oh no!
Oh, barely.
I'm just returned back to you after my cable connection just my cable connection just died.
Oh, it's dead.
So
it's still dying.
That's why you didn't see me here for a few minutes.
Okay, you're doing so good. I just want to encourage you. George Brown, you
my
may need
main
to come right back in.
computer has died.
Guys,
it's not funny. It's just your voice is slowed down so slow. Yeah. It's funny. That's
George. You'll want to disconnect from the call and come.
This
right
is the, well. This is the last computer I have.
Turn off your video or something. You got to get a bandwidth issue fixed.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. That leads right into my topic today, because I was saying bad things do happen to good people. And we don't have anyone to blame as atheists, because we are ultimately just responsible, or at least we have the purview that we can't blame anything supernatural.
We can blame other people.
We can definitely blame other people, and we do a lot of finger pointing. I won't even say that. But there's no finger. The finger pointing stops at a 90-degree angle. It doesn't go like this.
That's right.
Right? It's like, this is your fault. It's like,
well
no,
put.
It always goes here, right?
Yeah, you can say that about believers too. They never point up and place blame.
Oh, now here's that question. I do feel like there have been a lot of instances where people say, like, I guess God's really testing me right now, or there must be a reason like this, like a bunch of bad things happen. It's like, well, God always opens up a window when he closes the door. I'm like, it still feels like you have the hopeful pointing at God at that same point.
Yeah. Any excuse.
So I am going to say this too. Are atheists accountable? And the way how I see it is, when bad things happen to me, I'm willing to blame myself for my part in it. And if someone else does me wrong, I can blame them. And if I do something wrong to somebody, I will go through out of my way to say, hey, I was accountable for this injury or personality or emotion or whatever, and go address them. I have a quick story to put this into context. There are a bunch of roofers fixing our apartments in my place. They have a bunch of nails they threw out on the carpet, on the lawn. And I'm like, kids play in that lawn. I don't want a bunch of nails there. Let me go to my job. I'm going to borrow a big magnet, the main magnet that we have. I'll put it on like some fishing string and just roll it across the lawn, pick up all the nails and do a nice little service. No one needs to thank me or anything like that. I'll do it real quick. Go to work, get the big neodymium magnet that we got, come back home, put it on the fish string, pull it across the yard, pick up so many nails, even like magnetic rocks. It was great. Go back in my car, clean it all off. Everything's good. Can't buy anything the next day. All my credit cards have been wiped.
Oh, no.
And here's the thing. You don't realize how much you depend. You don't realize how much you're just a caveman in a box until the lights go out. You ever heard that before? I went from being, hey, I'm a doctor, I'm doing a good job, I got payments too. I got $7 in my wallet and that's it. I can't go to the ATM. I only have like 2 gallons of gas in my car. I need help to get new cards. I don't know how to get money. I have no access to money. I have no access.
At least you had your internet when you went home.
Yeah. I had to have a friend come to my home to pick me up to go to exchange and get a new card, and I just got my new card today. But that was
prepare for the next bad thing, and that is when you find out they use some aluminum nails.
Oh, yeah. Very true. So bad thing happened when I try to do a good thing. And a lot of people say karma is like the balancing of forces. I'm not confident of that. I do believe bad things happen to good people. Bad things are the rewards for sometimes good actions, but you're accountable for it. And I'm fine with the idea of the actions that I took made me responsible for the unforeseen consequence. But with that mindset, I'm also saying I'm also responsible for the good things in my life too. So those stories aside, Dread Pirate, what do you got? Oh no, he's on mute. Oh no, can't hear him.
Yeah, sorry. I just got a text from someone that was watching the live stream and said that your guys' voices are really, really loud as compared to. So if you can turn down the master maybe, or.
Sure. Or that guy can just turn down the volume knob just like 2 degrees. But yeah. We're good.
Turn mine down. Hope that's better.
Okay.
Sweet. Dread, now you're on the hot spot. What are your thoughts? Have bad things happened to you from good actions? Well, have you done anything that made you feel like you're accountable for your actions?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how anyone could think that by virtue of being an atheist, you are excusing yourself of accountability. I just don't understand. I've had people say, well, you don't see many atheists from foxholes and that kind of thing. And it's like, I don't even understand where that rationale emerges from. It just seems absolutely ridiculous, but that's me.
Well, I can tell you where the rationale comes from. Being used to being a Christian, is they say anybody who faces death are going to call on God. So if you call on God, you're not an atheist. So and that's where it comes from. But having been in the military, I can tell you there are quite a few in there. Matter of fact, there are whole monuments to atheists in foxholes out there. There are organizations. If you want to find some atheists in foxholes, just do a search for them. Atheists face death all the time, and they have for centuries, millennia. I'd like to address your subject, though, today. Who are we accountable to? Like you said, first and foremost, we're accountable to ourselves. We have to live with the consequences of what we do. We can't go to our invisible friend and ask for forgiveness and then just start again like nothing happened. Some believers feel like they can't. Matter of fact, confession is all about that. We are responsible to ourselves, our family, our society, and by extension to the world. We're responsible to the law enforcement of our society. And when we do something really bad and they catch us doing it, we're going to spend a lot of time off the street, as it were. And if we wanted to sin, we could just stay in the religion and ask for forgiveness, and like so many of them do. So we are, I would say, more accountable than a believer or someone who thinks they can just be forgiven by a God or whatever.
It's very true. It's very true. Absolutely. Buffalo, you got any thoughts to share on that?
No, I agree with everything that's been said. And the thing that instantly comes to mind to me is the word mercy. You know, the word mercy to me is the key to being religious or not. You know, I don't think there's any mercy in this world. I think this world is merciless, and I think it's because of our biological.
Well, you're talking about nature, though, aren't you? I mean, there are people that are merciful.
Well, people are, but I'm not so sure it has the same connotation as the way in which it's used in a religious context.
Yeah, I feel like mercy in a religious context is sort of like absolution. Like, don't worry about these anymore. It's taken off the record. Whereas we still live in a world where a consequence from 200 years ago could still affect us today and how we treat each other. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Especially when you're talking about absolution by throwing your blame on someone else.
Yeah.
Nobody can take responsibility for your wrongdoings. They might pay your bills, but they can't take responsibility for something that you did to someone else.
Now, hold on, I take offense to that.
Supposed to.
I take offense at that because I put on my Christian hat, and it's like that's the whole reason Jesus died. Jesus died for our sins.
It's a heinous belief that someone else can take responsibility for your wrongdoings or your sin.
Yeah.
Are you saying he died for nothing? How dare you?
That's what I'm saying. That's not if it was valid, it's not moral. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to get in the habit where we do human sacrifices for other people's benefit. Like people should never be used as a means to an end.
Or poor animals.
Animals. I know, but bacon's delicious. God, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but they don't die for sin. That's what I'm saying. They are not sacrificed for the sin of the person.
Yeah.
And
sure.
A lot of cultures they are.
Sure.
Just for nutrition.
Right.
For oh yeah, but
for survival,
for deliciousness too. Yeah, for survival. I'll give you that. There's better. I know the vegans are going crazy right now. George Brown, let's check back in on you. How you doing? George Brown, are you there? Oh no, still lagging? Okay, yeah, still looks a little laggy, a little bit, but it's good to see your face. So here's my wrench in the system. So the complaint that
I don't know yet. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Okay. Sorry, we still can't get you.
And you have to turn down
audio. Keep the audio and get rid of the video.
Turn off the video when you get it in. Turn off the video, and then we can try from there, and we'll give it a couple.
You just turn your volume down. Audio. There you go. Leave your audio.
Turn off your video. Guys, this is great. This is exactly what I'm talking about. University is a merciless place.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here's my thing. the original complaint that I heard this in was in a Discord chat where there was an atheist, or I'm sorry, a Christian in the room who was basically talking about the tenets of objective morality. And so he says, I'm accountable to this objective list of right and wrong that was established by a higher power that has ultimate good, all that stuff, all that jazz. And so I know who I'm accountable to. I know for what I'm accountable to, and I know the punishment and the benefits or promises if I hold myself to this code. It is an absolute code. It's a perfect code, and it's not open to the subjectivity of human minds. You know, it's not like, well, you can do this on certain days, you can get vaccinated at these ages. It's like, no, this code is the perfect code.
Then don't speak it.
And what? And what?
And don't speak it then.
And don't speak it then. Yeah. And so as long as I follow this objective code, I know who I'm accountable to, and it's this God. And as long as I do that, it's good. But this idea that I'm accountable to anybody else is a very subjective, you know, promise, because different people have different wants and needs. How do I live in a world that's so subjective? Sometimes I can kill babies, sometimes I can't kill babies. That seems like a worldview that Christian didn't want to be in. Larry, what do you think?
Well, first of all, you say that if I do the things that God tells me to do, I'll be okay. But how does God tell you? He doesn't show up and talk to you. And if you go to religions, there are thousands of religions and thousands of holy books. The Bible is just one. The Quran is just another one. And as far as I'm concerned, they were written by long dead preachers, not God's. Didn't take a pen in hand and write it down. Some preacher wrote it down. Whether he was inspired or not is up for question. Mm-hmm. How do we know that God put those words there for you to obey?
It's a good question. What do you mean by these are God's words? How did we determine that? What's a reliable test to know that? Relevant question. Dread.
And how do you differentiate between...
still on mute, my friend. This time on Zoom.
Yeah, how do you differentiate between delusion and what some might consider a real God? There's those two things are indistinguishable, in my view. I mean, if, like Larry was saying, how do you know a person is inspired by anything other than a mental disability? Right
now, Dread, I'm gonna say, at least from we're all atheists in this room, but at least from like a SE wordsmithing perspective, you want to make sure you don't compare the God belief to something that's automatically like connotated to something bad, like a mental illness or like a delusion. I'm more interested less in differentiating those two and seeing like, please promote what you're saying and prove and show me how you're right, rather than tell me why you're different from all the crazy other BS stuff that I'm listening to.
Okay, well, I thought that was the point I was making. Is that how...
Go for it.
How do you tell the difference? How could you possibly tell the difference?
You get the same cookie from the vending machine, whether you press A, B, or A1. And what I'm saying is, if you phrase the question in the idea of like, how's your stuff different from any other crazy stuff I'm listening to, versus how are you right? And can you give me a reliable way to figure that out, how you're right? You get the same answer, but you also avoid the minefield of, is he saying I'm delusional? Is he saying I have a mental disorder? I don't like this person as much anymore. I'm going to believe in my belief even stronger. And it's just like, what do you do? But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's a valid question. I'm just saying, wordsmithing is such a fun thing.
Well, sure, and I wouldn't phrase it that way to someone who had a hardcore religious belief. I mean, I've done enough SE to know that we try to be gentle and respectful and preserve the dignity of the people that we're engaging. So I just say this in present company.
Now that is an interesting point, and I think that's a very interesting point because Dredd, I've seen you do SE, and I know you're fantastic at it. So I'm wondering, like, when we, and this is a little bit off topic, and I want to do it to Larry real quick too, but like when we do SE, are we genuinely asking the question, how are you right? Or are we just paraphrasing, tell me why you're not wrong, in a more politically correct fashion? Mm-hmm. And what I'd love for us to do as a movement, or at least as like an organization, not as an organization, but at least more people willing to try this, is SE is not a way to put a cherry on top of a, why are you BS? Like, what's this BS? Why are you crazy?
You're not sugarcoating a question.
it's not about sugarcoating questions. It's about genuinely asking about methodologies. And if they give you a good rationale for that, that should be the case.
Right.
Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, it's about examining the beliefs themselves, the methods at which they reach those beliefs. Exactly. So all the questions should be about the method itself, not necessarily the belief.
Oh, Larry, perfect. Oh, you took the words right out of my face. You reached in my face and you're like, get over here, and you got them out.
One of the things that always gets me is how many times have you talking to a religious person, or particularly a preacher, and they'll say, well, God told me that blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, you know, first of all, my very first question is, did you literally hear his voice? And sometimes they'll say, yeah. But how do you know it's God's voice when you hear it? When you hear it, even according to the Bible, there are many other entities that could speak to you in such a way. And it could be the voice of Satan, or an angel, or a demon, or anything. When you give entities magical powers of telepathy, how do you know that the voice that shows up in your head is God's?
Yeah. Once you introduce a Satan figure, how do you know anything is true? Like a grand deceiver, how do you know any of it's true? George.
Absolutely.
Third time's a charm. Keep your video off. Let's go. George, can you hear us? Oh, man.
Are you muted?
There he is.
Buffalo, I want to ask you a question. Well, we're both scientists. We both love, data that can at least be, universally applied, right? Like, it doesn't have to be objectively true, but if it could be close enough and useful, we can at least make a useful model out of it. The idea that Satan exists as a character in the Bible, or at least in Christian lore, as a grand deceiver, someone who's capable of deceiving any person, like that has a mortal frame or whatever, that just makes me feel like no model of truth that's presented in the Bible could be taken at face value, because it could obviously be the Satan trying to deceive me. And that means if I don't have the Bible and I'm just feeling inspired, I feel like that could literally just be the devil trying to inspire me. Like, is there a useful metric in a worldview where you can literally be deceived at any point? I feel like there isn't, but maybe you have a different perspective.
Oh, I don't know. What are our minds capable of? Hitler eventually reached that point, but that's because he was mentally ill. So I think mental illness, certain failure of circuitry between the ears can lead to that. But I don't think that many people, well, some people are born with it, I guess. But again, from a biological perspective, I think a disease is a disease, and it can go to the point of death, and it can stick around and be vicious.
Yeah, essentially, the Bible is basically saying it's sick. So that means like every character could potentially be just a symptom of a sick person. What's up, Larry?
Oh, it's just bottom of the hour. We need to take a break.
Good point.
This is the Digital Free Thought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville. And we'll be right back after this short break.
George Brown, the second. Can you hear us?
Tea.
Yeah, go for it. Anyone needs to take a break, go for it. Hey, you just said your coffee always stays hot. What are you doing, Dred? Oh, look at him. All right. George Brown, can you hear us? I don't know. Buffalo, that cottage sounds really, really nice. You said your whole family's going there? 12 people?
Yeah. We did it a couple of years ago, but we did it on a big houseboat on one of the Kentucky lakes. And it was marvelous. And it was very nice, but there you're stuck in a small space, and the boat's so big that you can't drive it around very easily. So you have to get a second little boat.
Wait a second.
This would be nice because our second little boat will be sitting at a dock right outside of a regular house.
I'm a little terrified. So you're saying an entire family gets on a boat and one person gets to drive it, and everyone's okay with that one person driving the boat?
I can add to that because Eric usually does the driving. I that's one of my rules. I'll pay for the rental, but I won't do the driving. Especially of grandchildren. I want somebody else responsible for that. Especially when they're tubing or some sort of fast boat thing. I'm not expert at it, so I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
But we do things reasonably, and with this deal, we'll even be able to pull up the rental boat at the dock by our rental house, and and after breakfast in the morning, get back in it and do it again. So
Nice.
pretty luxurious.
I'm happy for you. Enjoy this time. Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy some family time. Hey, could you get in front of the camera again? You're a little out of focus.
Okay.
Let the camera wake up.
Yeah, this discussion of the devil is, unless you want to wait to continue.
There you go.
That's
But
better.
the last time I raised the question, I've been doing some reading on the.
Do you want to do that on the air? I mean, I'd like
I
to
don't
capture
know. I
this.
ask you. Maybe you don't want to, but the Satanic Temple. I've been reading on them, and I wonder why did they approach it this way? Because
Yeah, I think we should talk about that.
Yeah.
You want to go to that one when we get in here?
Yeah, we'll do straight into it.
Okay.
Let me.
I'm ready when you.
I'm gonna give George the phone number to this room.
George, you want to try it?
George, so in the chat, if you can hear me, in the chat, I just dropped the phone number that you can call. That will be this room. Do you see it? When you respond, it'll be like very delayed, but for the most part, if you call this number that's in the chat right now, you'll end up in this room.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'll meet you in the meanwhile, and then feel free to join in. All right.
Yeah, you can. That's good. Mute your microphone there, and then call in. That might give us both.
Yep. And then Larry, I'm ready to jump back in. You ready?
Okay.
Let me start recording. All right. 5, 4. Oh, before we get, Dread, who's on the live? Is anyone still on the live?
Yep, I've got one other person. I believe it's my good buddy here, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
He lives here in town. So.
Thanks for the comments so far. If he has any questions, feel free to type them in. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And send them to us. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to the second half of the Digital Free Thought Radio Hour. I'm Dr. 5, and we're on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is Sunday, May 9th, 2021. Let's talk about the Atheist Society of Knoxville. Founded in 2002, we're in our 19th year. ASK now has over 1,000 members, and we have weekly meetings starting this Tuesday down at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Knoxville's Old City, out on the patio. We also have Zoom meetings to go along with that for people who can't make it into town. If you can find us online on Facebook, Meetup, KnoxvilleAtheist.org, or just Google Knoxville Atheist. It's just that simple. Also, you can find Rationalists of East Tennessee at rationalist.org. By the way, if you don't live in Knoxville, you should still go to Meetup and search for an atheist group in your town. Don't find one? Start one. Right. Where do you want to pick up there, Wombat?
Hey, let's talk about the devil. Buffalo, you got some devil on your mind.
Yeah, so I've been reading a little bit on the internet about the Satanic Temple, and they are really doing what all of is being discussed here. But so they're trying to have a no, I can't say they want to have a religion. They want to have a voice like the religions do, without having the basic creed and the same rules and all of the rituals and so forth. But they want to do community good, and they're attacking questions of right and wrong, to the point of going to the Supreme Court. So, but my curiosity, I can't find this anywhere, is why did they call themselves that? And it gets to my own problem that I have, and that is, how should I go out and make my my feelings known about a religion without antagonizing people and shutting down the whole discussion, putting up a brick wall, so to speak. And it would almost appear that that's what they've done. They use the word satanic. And I'm just wondering if anybody's got a feeling for why they did it this way. Why would you start a discussion about religion, atheism, using the word satanic?
Larry.
Well, theoretically, I mean, according to Christianity, and please, listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. He represents the loyal opposition to God and His message and His rule, and so they took up the banner basically to be in opposition of that. However, I am with you. I don't think that we should show that we're buying into the panoply of entities that they have in their religion by naming an organization after one. I don't think it's a good idea, but people disagree with me on that. So
yeah, I think it's counterproductive, is what it is.
Dredd, I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what the Pastafarian movement is about. We're just taking up a different kind of stand in opposition to religious or institutionalized religious privilege.
Right, but you're not picking a character from their
that's kind of the
exactly
from their religion. Yeah,
exactly. So an important thing, and of course this was where the judge went in his Supreme Court decision against my petition, was that by virtue of some Pastafarians mocking and satirizing religion, that somehow we are disrupting the peace of the country and putting people down or robbing them of their dignity and all the rest of it, when in fact that is just not the case. And of course that would be harder to argue if I declared myself a member of the Satanic Temple. Just by virtue of it is literally taking up the mythology of the Christian faith and using it as a platform to take their message out. Not that I don't disagree with their message, it's just the way it's wrapped, the way it's clothed.
Sure.
Are you saying that we shouldn't ridicule them, or
the Satanic Temple?
No, Christianity or any other religion.
Well, I mean, ridicule is different than challenging a belief, right? I mean, all beliefs are up for challenge, and the ideas, again, and we talked about this in SE. So Ted just made a point that SE, when it's spoken together, sometimes sounds like SC. And so we just have to make sure that we're saying like street epistemology.
Socratic examination.
Or Socratic examination, because it gets lost when we speak that way. But I think that street epistemology and the methods that we use doing it is the best way to undertake those kinds of conversations.
And the only...
Buffalo, I just wanted to round out the idea of like why they do it. It's sort of the point to be, what is the right word? Provocative with that term, because it draws attention to an idea that there is a lot of religious privilege given to Christians. And so if that's the case, then we will use a character from your book and have a seemingly unilateral discussion on religion, but Christianity doesn't offer Satanists the same platform they do for the more mainstream Christians. And it seems to draw a light on the idea of, well, you won't, it's like if you agree that these religions are equal, but yet even when we use characters from your book, you're saying, yeah, you're not the same. You don't get to have as many governors. You don't have to have as many senators. You can't start court proceedings. You can't start council meetings on budget for the cities. Everything starts with a prayer, but doesn't do satanic prayers. Like, clearly there's a preference that is not being unilaterally distributed. Now you can go with the Pastafarian route and say, hey, we have this new god that we came up with. It's literally a plate of soup or noodles. Sorry
noodles.
It's noodles. And people will look at that and be like, ha ha ha, you're making fun of us. We're going to contextualize it as you're basically taking Christianity and making parody. It was like, no, this is our completely separate religion. Please give us a platform as well. They're like, no. And you can say, hey, I'm from the Middle East and I have a completely different God. It's like, yeah, we don't do that too, but we can respect you enough so that you can wear your turbans and driver's license.
Right.
What Satanists are saying is like, we have your Bible, we are using your book, and we are pulling quotes from your book, and we are taking these figures from your book and just worshiping these figures instead. where's our unilateral, where's our piece of the pie? It's like, no,
all
you're
that,
not
but I
real.
wonder which approach is more effective.
I like the multifaceted approach. I like that there are tiers of hardcore rock, and you can do soft rock, and that there's alternative rock.
Yeah.
I think it needs all those voices to make sense. Dred, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say that the mission here of the Satanic Temple, I'll read it out. The mission of the Satanic Temple is to encourage benevolence and empathy, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense, oppose injustice, and undertake noble pursuits.
Yeah.
That's their mission.
And we've had Satanists on the show, and they've been super chill. And for the most part, I feel like the name is there to set up an expectation. And when you actually talk with one, it's like, oh, okay, this is not what the Christians are telling me you are. And so here's the catch, George. Regardless of whatever it was they call themselves, Christians would take offense at it if it wasn't Christianity.
That's
so
correct.
It doesn't matter if it was Pacifarianism or Satanism or screw you, Jesus, you look silly on that T-shaped piece of wood. Like they're gonna take offense at it either. They take offense at the word atheist. Like it is what it is. Larry.
Yeah, no, my problem with it is most Christians, when they hear of the Satanic Temple, that's all they know at that point is the name.
Yep.
And they just take it and run, and you can't blame them for running to thinking that we believe in Satan, to worship Satan and follow Satan. I mean, that to me is what it's telling the normal person on the street, the normal Christian on the street that doesn't know anything about it, who just heard about it. And I think that is not a good message. No matter what they say their goal is, or their mission statement. I think the mission statement is great. I think it's worthy. I think it needs a better name. It just me.
Larry, I'll throw this out at you. If the same can be said to atheists or Christians' appreciation of the word atheist, because they'll hear that and they'll think, here's a person that probably worships Satan or
and eats
God,
babies
and eats babies.
That is not part of the name. The name,
I know
if they look it up, just the word atheist, it'll just say doesn't believe in God.
And Larry, I'm not triggering. I'm with you on that. We're on the same side of the street holding the same sign.
I have to verbally defend and answer your question.
Yeah,
but that is the Christian perspective, is what I'm saying. Like that.
Oh, I understand.
What I like, I think, to avoid all this is just to call myself a concluder. I'm not a believer. I'm a concluder.
You just came up with a new name that is just waiting for more baggage to be put on top of it. For sure.
Yeah,
I know that.
It's neutral. Yeah.
It's just a new thing that people are going to take. It's like, what's up, George? Can you hear me? Can we hear you?
I just want to know if you can hear me.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay,
George.
So I'm seeing you guys on my screen. You can see me on your screen, and I'm talking to you on the telephone.
Yeah,
he's got a flip phone, guys.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a flip phone.
They're talking about ridicule too, so
that's so anyway. 2001.
Yeah,
that's good. It's a good year.
Yeah,
it's a good year. I'm going to throw this out as well. If there was a Satanist that worshiped Satan, but in the mindset that they're doing it in is, well, the God that's in this book, the one that calls themselves God, the one that drowns babies, the one that kills all of humanity, that makes rainbows to make up for it, the one who does human sacrifices for his own progeny to immorally shift the blame so that most people don't have to do it, and who's had more people die in the name of the Son than any other figure in humanity, like that's probably not the best guy. And the person who's anti that guy is the person I would rather follow. And I throw this out as a point. A lot, and Matt Dillahunty says this a lot in his shows, but like, how do you know if you're reading the Bible, God's the good one and the devil's the bad one?
Right.
It seems almost every single instance, it's the devil that's telling the truth, that's trying to be honest with people, that's showing examples of, hey, this guy is evil. I'm going to present it in the fact by going to heaven and actually setting up a bet with this guy who says he's good and start hurting people, and he hurts people. I just suggest it, and he's the one who's hurting Job. He's the one who he makes a new family to be like, I killed your family, but here's a new group of strangers, and they're your new family now. It's bizarre.
And I was going to say the book of Job is a perfect instance of where, essentially God and Satan are just playing with people as a toy, like pulling the wings off flies, and it's
actually
it's
God
horrible.
doing it.
It's
horrible.
God the one doing it.
Of course,
because if the devil
Yes.
didn't want to do it, or if the devil wanted it and God didn't want it,
Yeah.
it wouldn't happen. But
Right.
if God wanted it, it's going to happen. So it's God the one that's pulling the wings off.
Yeah,
And it's the
and a
devil
lot of-
being like,
Right.
I hope you're seeing this. I hope you're seeing that this is a thing that's going on.
Right.
Are you sure this is the one you want to worship? Doesn't it look like I'm the
Right.
guy that's trying to be honest with you?
Mhm.
I know, listen, we've had Christians on the show. Sorry, Larry. We had Christians
No,
on
it's
the
okay.
show who brought up the book of Job as like one of the best books to prove their God was a really benevolent God, and it blew my mind. And we've talked about that before, but I'm saying different people interpret it different ways. But I could see a Satanist reading the Bible and being like, clearly this is the better character, and it's just told out of context as
Right.
if God was.
Mhm.
I'm worshiping this guy, and I can see there's no harm
Right.
from that point of view if someone wants to worship at that point.
Yeah. If you've got a couple hours to talk to a Satanist and have him explain that to you, but the name itself doesn't do that. One thing I'd like to mention about Job is that, whenever you talk to a Christian, a lot of times I would just say, yeah, but he gave him all that stuff back. He killed his family and his herds and his crops and his house and burned it, everything. But he gave him all that back. No, he didn't. He gave him a new family, a new house, new crops, and new animals. So what is it okay if God just kills your family and gives you a new one, after testing you? And by the way, wouldn't an omniscient God know the outcome of the test before he performed it?
Absolutely.
And
Larry, I
wouldn't
want
he
to throw
be
this out
able
at
to
you.
show that to a demon or to the devil?
I want to throw this out just real quick. I'm sorry. We say Satanists shouldn't call themselves Satanists, but why do we allow Christians to call themselves Christians as a free pass? Isn't that an expression of
no? Because it's part of their
Christ
beliefs.
can borrow? You're saying Christ can just borrow people's sins? Like that
No.
seems objectively immoral. You're saying you like
It
human
is.
sacrifices?
I do.
You like torture, like for 3 days? Like that's terrible. Why would anyone want that? Like that appalls me on a fundamental level. But
Right.
yet we give that the free pass because they're the people in charge.
Well,
I feel like
the thing about it is Christians believe in Christ. Satanists don't believe in Satan.
some do. Some
Okay.
do. There's Levellian
Yeah.
Satanists and
Okay.
there's actual,
There's the Church of
All
Church of Satan, and then there's the Satanic Temple, and those two entities are different. The
Okay.
They're both called
former
Satanists.
is the,
Which ones believe in Satan?
what's his name? The
Levellian.
Church,
Levellian.
yeah, the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all Satanism. Like it's
Yeah.
generally all this. It's the same umbrella term. So
Yeah.
like it's all good. What's up, Dred?
Well, I just had a question from Ted here. He says, because we were talking about alternate names for atheists, and
Sure.
and George said concluder. So is there an alternate name for Christianity? Is there?
I want to say
Go ahead.
I want to say something flippant, but I don't want to say
Yeah,
something.
your horns were showing.
Yeah.
So I will say this too. There are such things as really good Christians, but it tends to be the case that the better they are, the ones that I enjoy being around with, follow to a lesser extent their own dogma, and the ones that follow their dogma very ardently are the ones I don't want to have anything with or to do.
I
with.
made a meme about that. I make
Larry,
memes
what do you
about
got?
everything.
I know he makes memes.
It says, Christians, Muslims, and other believers are good people in an inverse relationship to how closely they follow their dogma.
It's very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very true.
Good one.
Dogmatic thinking in general tends to do that. George Brown, I'd love to get your thoughts on the idea of Satanism. If you have an opinion on this, like, if you were to meet a Satanist, would you have any qualms or worries ahead of time? And like, what would be your expectations if we said, "Hey, we're gonna have a Satanist on the show"? What questions would you want to ask them? Are you there? Can you hear
Are
me?
you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, George. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Brown. George Brown.
I didn't realize you were talking to me.
I know we got like
This
we
is
got a
your
lot of Georges on the show.
your Robert De Niro impression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talking to me?
I'm having technical things going on here.
What questions would you ask a
Okay.
Satanist if you were to meet him? What would be your expectations if you were to meet one?
First of all, I would be delighted to meet a Satanist, and I would want to know everything about that person. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your beliefs or lack of them. Because I'm always interested in meeting people who are different than me. And I'm like that. So
Yeah.
I would be open to finding out about this person. Hey, tell me. I'm all ears. I just want to know.
In my book, the devil is just as supernatural as Jehovah or Yahweh. And if I was to if I don't want to worship anybody, but if I was going to worship one, it wouldn't be Jehovah. It would be like, you are clearly crazy. If my only other option is this other dude, all right, you're on here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think he only asked to be worshipped once to Jesus, and Jesus said no, and he was like, that's fine. No punishment. I'm not going to send you to hell. I was here to give you water, but if you don't want it, that's good. I mean, I think you're going to be okay. And he turned out all right for the most part. So,
why should the devil define himself by how he is defined in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, or the Jewish Torah? Maybe I'm not even sure he's in there. I don't know.
Sure,
but I mean, my main issue is, what are you like? If I don't have to sign on to his belief in order to know him.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Like, he takes no for an answer, and it's no big deal. And that is a powerful statement. If you got to ask me, like, which one is the better figure, Dread Pirate.
Well, I was just going to say too that in the Old Testament, clearly it was a pantheon. It was a pantheistic or polytheistic religion, because the idea that there was angels and God and Satan, and that you shall not worship any other gods before me. This kind of thing. So gods. it was clearly it wasn't monotheistic to start with. That's for sure.
And we know historically that makes sense, right?
Yeah. So pirate, you said you want the opposite of concluder, and to me it's believer. And I, as a biologist, I think that we have propensities, a genetic propensity, which drive one toward one extreme or the other, and most of us are in the middle.
Yeah, Daniel Kahneman is like that, right?
Yeah. So I believe in belief genes, and we don't know about them yet because we don't know about much that's in between our ears. But I would say that several generations down the road, if we don't destroy our environment first, we'll have a better idea of how those genes function.
We'll have a concluder gene.
Yeah, the concluder gene,
That's
or
right.
as opposed to the neural networks that lead to believing, and that'll describe what we already know, and that is every person is different, both on the outside and on the inside, and the same is true for what's between our ears.
I think a lot of it too is around this idea of agency and attributing human agency or animal agency to other things that clearly don't have agency, but our perceptions are sort of geared towards interpreting in a very fast way things we don't quite understand, like the rustling of bushes. If you tend to think that it's always the wind and not the tiger, you're probably not going to last too long as a species.
Sure.
There's sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying, just to take up some of the dead space, going back to accountability, I think, yes, there's probably some facets to our genetic makeup or phenotype that dictate how easy it is for us to learn without inhibitions due to mental disorders or processes or stuff like that. Balance of sodium and potassium in our brains, blood pressure, all sorts of stuff help to dictate the capacity that we have to absorb new information. But I feel like there's such a great wealth of potential that we can't deny that is on our cells after the fact, after we have like a body to learn, and that we are responsible for the information that we take in and for the information that we put out. And we are accountable after a certain point of the prejudices that we may carry or the biases that we have, because we always have an opportunity to learn better and to get rid of bad stuff.
Yeah, everything is nature and nurture, not just one or the other. Sure. Right. But I really think that there's some hard wiring in there that we don't understand.
Sure.
We try to explain it, but we don't understand it.
Sure. Dread, you want to finish that thought?
I lost it. The dog barking. I guess I'll let
Talking
somebody else take the
intelligence
floor.
and agency and the
Yes,
bushes.
agency. Yes,
Yeah.
agency.
Yeah.
So attributing agency to things that clearly don't have it. It's like I was saying about the tigers and the wind rustling the leaves or the grasses. And just a reminder that Daniel Kahneman wrote an excellent book called Thinking Fast and Slow, and is an excellent read. I believe he won a Nobel Prize for for whatever is neurology or physiology or something like that.
I want to add to the agency thing too, because there's a really great video called Double Rainbow, and one of the funny things is it's a guy looking at two rainbows stretching across the sky, and he's like, "It's a double rainbow. What does it mean?" And it's just a really beautiful thing. But I can see myself. You go back, beyond internet, beyond electricity, all that stuff, and you'll see people who look at beautiful things and be like, but what does it mean? It's just like, well, it means light refracts. It's like, we don't have that information. We need a shorter, simpler, comprehensive answer. But at a certain point, you need to get rid of those shortcut answers that we came up with, like God, magic, fairies, devil, and come up with better standards for information. George Brown, what do you got?
Well, you're reminding me of Robert Crumb back in the 1970s, the cartoonist. There was always a character coming to him, to his character, his cartoon character, Mr. Natural, and the supplicant would say, "Mr. Natural, what does it all mean?" And Mr. Natural would say something which I cannot repeat because this is going to be a radio broadcast. So he would say, "It don't mean a word that begins with that."
All right. So, hey, that was the show. Thank you guys so much for everybody coming by. You can find Mind Pirate, Mind, Pyrate, on YouTube. Please subscribe. He's getting close to 100.
Yep. 88 right now, Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. PST.
Perfect. Wonderful. And he's also streaming too. Buffalo George, hope you have a wonderful cottage trip. George Brown, I want to see you on that keyboard next week. Let's see you play, and I'll check out some dollar store lenses we were talking about during the break. Larry, why don't you take us out?
Okay. My own content is found at digitalfreethought.com. You can find these shows and a whole bunch of other things like atheist articles and atheist music on digitalfreethought.com. If you have questions for the show, send them to askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org. If you're having trouble leaving religion behind, you can find help at recoveringfromreligion.org. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. This has been Digital Free Thought Radio Hour. Remember, everybody's going to somebody else's hell. The time to worry about it is when that proves that heaven and hells and souls are real. Until then, don't sweat it. Enjoy your life. And we'll talk to you next Wednesday on this radio station. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you.
So can you hear me now?